Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
No, what's up, Ben? It's Aaron. It's been a minute.
It's been a while, man. Glad to have you back. What's happening, dude?
Yeah, I have a question. So, I was talking to a guy today. He was actually a Bernie supporter, but, I made the comment of I don't believe that Hillary's progressive. And I guess what he did was he pivoted directly to, like, the similarities between her and Bernie's voting record while they're both in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And he linked me to some articles, and it was like 93% or something like that. They voted on the same things. And, I'm not as familiar with the entirety of her voting record. And, there's been a lot of things that they both voted on. I don't know how much intersection there is on what they voted on together and whatnot, but I'm more familiar with her presidential bid and what she said and what she wants. And that's where I kind of get it doesn't feel like she's very progressive. And then he was using liberal and progressive interchangeably, which I'll kind of make a slight distinction between the two. I guess, like, I'm not as familiar, and I got to dig myself, but just curious, what would you say to that? A person that's like, well, her and Bernie, 93% the same, and she was the most liberal Senate member of her time, even more so than Obama. So I guess, what would you say to that?
So you know what? If we're just doing numbers, right? And thanks for the call, man. I'm gonna ask your question and grab this next one as well. If we're doing just numbers, then it's easy to say, oh, well, they have 93% parity, right? Let's go with that. I don't have it in front of me. But what was that 7%? If that 7% included the Iraq war authorization, that's a pretty big death nail in terms of progressivism. If it was TARP bailing out Wall Street, if it was the Patriot Act, right? These things it's key. It's those decisions that make the difference between what is real progressivism, protecting certain values. You can vote with me all day long, right? But if we get to a decision on a woman's right to choose and you vote against me, that's a pretty big, and I'm not saying that that's true of either one of them. I'm just using this as an anecdote, as an example, right? You can vote with me all day long. And 93% of the time, we're on the same side of every issue. But when we get to that one issue where it's kind of a delineating factor, then you lose your bona fides. You lose that credibility. Supporting the Keystone Pipeline, supporting the death penalty. These things that she stands for that are anti-progressive. It's where you stand on those critical issues. It's not where you stand on the things that are easy, right? And I think this may come off as coy. This may come off as this probably something I shouldn't say, but I'll say it anyway. Let's say it's a pretty easy decision now today to be pro-choice as a Democrat, because if you're not pro-choice as a Democrat, then you're pretty much not going to be considered a Democrat or progressive. It's a pretty standard thing now to be pro marriage equality, because if you're not, then you're not going to be ever considered a progressive. Not today. The question is, where did you stand when those things were unpopular? And Hillary Clinton doesn't stand. She didn't stand for a lot of things. Well, I mean, she's always been for a woman's right to choose. Let's be clear there. I'm not asserting that, but I'm just using that as an example. Pedro, what's happening, man?